Hey, welcome back to Michael Reality Recap, your daily dose of reality TV chaos. I am your host, Michael, and if you are new here, buckle up because we do not hold back on this channel. We give you the truth, the tea, and all the messiness in between. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss a single recap because these reality TV folks stay giving me content. Okay, so we are opening with Daniel and Lisa, and right out of the gate, I have a question. Why is Lisa the one who can't sleep? She is the one sitting on a mountain of secrets. You've been lying to this man since day one. Why are you tossing and turning? That's not guilt, that's nerve. Let's be real about what's happening here. Lisa has not told Daniel the full truth. Not even close. And yet here she is, making plans to whisk him away on some romantic trip that she's already paid for. She has coordinated an entire itinerary before she's come clean. Lady, cancel the trip, stay in that hotel room, sit down across from that man and tell him everything. The fact that you've already swiped your credit card does not obligate you to continue this deception tour. And Daniel, bless his heart, this man is clearly desperately in love, or we'll say he has a strong liking for Lisa. The way he's been reacting, the way he's been hanging in there, despite all the red flags, he is in deep. But I want to be clear. I don't think Daniel is purely motivated by love here. I'm going to say what some people are thinking. I believe there is a part of Daniel that sees this relationship as an opportunity to potentially move to the United States. And that is playing a significant factor in how much he is willing to tolerate from Lisa. I'm not saying love isn't there. I'm saying it's complicated. Now, Daniel keeps bringing up his uncle. He feels like he has broken local laws and customs because he thinks has been sleeping with another man's wife. And Lisa just sits there. Daniel, my brother, you have been sleeping with a woman's wife, but we'll get to that bombshell in a minute. Of course, Lisa does not want him talking to his uncle again. Why would she? Every time he consults that man, it reminds Daniel of exactly what kind of situation he's gotten himself into. And Daniel is out here saying his ancestors might come after him if he doesn't make this right. Listen, I don't want the ancestors involved. None of us want that energy. My advice to Daniel, don't get in that car. Don't go on that trip. Do not pass go. Stay in that hotel room and demand she tells you everything before you take one more step. Because she hasn't finished confessing, not even a little bit. And then Lisa says, I am quoting, I'm really, really sorry for not telling you everything. While she still hasn't told him everything, that is a masterclass in audacity. You can't apologize for keeping secrets while you are actively keeping more secrets. That is not an apology. That is a stall tactic. All right, moving on to Laura and Birkan. Now, this couple, they always seem so stiff together, like there is something missing in the chemistry department. They are in Ephesus, which is a stunning location, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. And Laura is paying for everything, every single thing. And Birkan seems almost surprised that she has concerns about the relationship. Sir, she is funding this entire adventure. The least you can do is not act confused when she has feelings. Now, here's where it gets messy. Birkan has a problem with Laura's male friend Michael calling and staying in contact. And honestly, he has a point, but the way he handles it is all wrong. Laura, at minimum, could have communicated more clearly that her friend was coming to visit. You don't need his approval. You do not need his permission. But a heads up would have been the decent thing to do. Communication is not that hard, people. But oh, it gets so much better. Because Michael, the friend, is not just calling. Michael is flying in person, to give his opinion on whether Laura's relationship with Birkan is a good idea. And here's my question. If you feel like you need your best friend to physically travel to another country to assess your relationship and potentially talk you out of it, you already know the answer. And this friend, Michael, has said point blank that Birkan is an obstacle between him and Laura having a relationship. Let that sink in. The friend who flew in to support her has his own potential motives. He might not be planting seeds of doubt just for Laura's benefit. He might be planting them for his benefit. Just saying. Birkan, meanwhile, is sitting there like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum, miserable, just waiting. And when Michael arrives at their apartment and Birkan can barely acknowledge the man's presence, doesn't say hello, doesn't make eye contact, that is not confidence. That is insecurity at full volume. If you were truly secure in your relationship, your girlfriend's friend showing up would not rattle you this much. And then Michael casually drops that he thinks he and Laura are more compatible than she and Birkan. Wow. He said it with his whole chest. Whether that's true or not, you do not say that out loud at the kitchen table. That is a lot of drama packed into one apartment. Next, Joshua and Elsa. This is genuinely one of the strangest first meetings I've ever seen on this show. And that is saying something because this show has given us a lot. So Elsa has flown from the United States all the way to Sydney, Australia. That is a long flight. We are talking roughly 20 plus hours, depending on where she flew from. She is exhausted. She is jet lagged. And Joshua's brilliant idea for their first in-person meeting, a horse race that they proceed to miss entirely. They missed the actual race. They went to all this trouble to a racetrack for a horse race, and they missed it. And then, here's the kicker. They leave and go to a bar. They could have just gone to the bar. They could have skipped the whole horse race situation and gone directly to the bar and been perfectly fine. But what is really bothering me about this entire scene is that Joshua spent the whole time focused on his best friend. The cheers moment, you know the moment, where he raises his glass and it feels entirely centered on his best friend rather than the woman who just traveled halfway around the world to meet him. That is a secondary cheers at best. She deserved the primary cheers, Joshua. She crossed time zones for you. And already, Elsa is going into this relationship wanting to change him. She hasn't even gotten over the jet lag and she's mapping out his character flaws. That, my friends, is a recipe, a tried and true recipe for disaster. You cannot build a relationship on the foundation of, I'll fix him. That is not a foundation. That is a sinkhole. Oh, and there's a huge picture of Joshua's best friend hanging in his bedroom. A huge one. On the wall. I have questions. I have many questions. Now on to the relationship on sedatives. We've got Jovon and Annalyn, and they are giving us culture shock content right out of the gate. First up, and I appreciate that the show went there, the toilet paper situation. For my fellow Americans who may not have traveled internationally in many countries around the world, due to plumbing differences, you do not flush toilet paper. You wipe and you put it in the trash can. I know. It is a cultural adjustment. When I traveled to Bangkok, that was one of those things you just have to mentally prepare yourself for. But what you do get in exchange, at least in my experience, is incredible food. In Bangkok, breakfast was not your typical American eggs and bacon situation. It was fish, rice, flavors you don't get at home, and it was genuinely delicious. So, trade offs. Now, Jovon and Annalyn have been doing long distance for 6 years. 6 years. And they got married, and he still hasn't applied for the spousal visa yet. 6 years of dating, a marriage certificate, and the visa paperwork hasn't been started. I am not entirely surprised based on what we've seen of Jovon. He seems like a man who takes his time with things, like a lot of time. Then we get to the nail salon scene, and the editing on this show never ceases to amaze me. They walk in, it's bright daylight. They're having this whole emotional, personal conversation right in front of the nail technicians, who are absolutely hearing and understanding every single word, by the way. And by the time the scene ends, it is pitch black outside. How long were they at that nail salon? What was shown as a 5-minute scene clearly took hours in real life. The 90-day editing team does not care about time continuity, and I respect the chaos. The dynamic between Jovon and Annalyn is interesting because there's this tension around authority and responsibility. He has all the responsibility, but seemingly very little authority in the relationship. That's always a tricky balance. Now, the Kim K wannabe Emma, sweet Emma. Emma got dumped again in Morocco by a man who apparently treated her terribly. And instead of doing what any reasonable person would do, which is book the next flight home and never look back, Emma has decided to stay in Morocco with the hopes, I can only assume, of either reconnecting with this man or finding someone new. Her friend is absolutely right. Her friends and family are always right. They are asking her the correct questions, giving her the correct advice, and she processes none of it. Zero. It goes in one ear and comes out the other. Go home, Emma. You can be done with Morocco. Morocco will survive without you. But no. Instead, Emma is texting her ex, the man who dumped her, in the country he lives in, while she is still in that country. And then, oh, it gets better. She's considering reconnecting with Muhammad, who is apparently another man who treated her badly in the past. So we're not just going back to one bad situation. We are circling back to multiple bad situations, like they're stops on a trauma tour. I agree with Emma's friend in this situation. I am looking at my screen the way Emma's friend looks at Emma and saying, "Why are you doing this to yourself? You deserve better than this." Both of these men have shown you who they are. The first rule of relationships, maybe the only rule, is when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Emma is not bad at relationships. Emma is spectacular at ignoring good advice. There is a difference. All right. Rick and Trisha. I need everyone to pay close attention here because what I am about to describe is a masterpiece of audacity. Rick and Trisha are walking around having what should be a nice day. And Trisha casually mentions a place she went to with her ex at some point in the past. One mention, one place, and Rick is triggered. Rick is upset. Rick is making this a whole thing. Now, let me tell you about Rick. Rick is the man who, when he and Trisha hit a rough patch, got on a plane, flew to a completely different country, visited his ex-girlfriend, and had sex with her. That happened. That is a documented fact of this relationship. And now Rick is standing here looking insecure because Trisha mentioned one location from her past. Sir, sir, you cheated. You physically traveled internationally to cheat. And you are going to stand there and make her feel bad about a passing reference to an ex? The audacity is not just showing, it is doing a full presentation with a PowerPoint and handouts. Rick is also significantly older than Trisha, and he is worried that her family won't accept him. And you know what? That is a legitimate concern. Age gaps are real. But the bigger concern her family probably has is not the age. It's the fact that you cheated on their daughter when things got hard. That's the thing. That's what families remember. Trisha is beautiful. She is clearly a catch, and she could absolutely do better. I'm just putting that out there. We are back to Daniel and Lisa, and we have arrived at the moment. So Lisa cried all night, and Daniel, despite everything, cuddled her. This man is considerate, and I genuinely feel for him. He is sitting with this woman who he knows is still keeping things from him, going on a trip he doesn't really want to go on. And he tells her the reason he agreed was because he didn't want the money she spent to be wasted. Not because he's excited, not because he's in love and can't wait, because he didn't want money to be wasted. That is the saddest reason to go on a romantic trip I have ever heard. Side note, never trust the promotional photos for hotels and Airbnbs. Never. They will show you marble countertops and ocean views, and you will arrive to something entirely different every time. Now, Daniel is sitting there, and you can see it on his face. He knows more is coming. He's waiting for the other shoe to drop. He says, I'm here, but there's something else you're not telling me. And Lisa goes quiet. And then she says, there's more I need to tell you. And Daniel says, she needs a couple days to do what? To prepare more lies? Because that is exactly what it sounds like. And then Lisa drops it. My last marriage was not with a man. I am divorcing a woman. She has been with a woman for the last 21 years. Daniel is the first man she has been with in over 2 decades. Daniel never imagined that was the secret. Daniel processes this, and then he says in these 4 words, sum up everything, don't come close to me. Now listen, I want to be thoughtful here. Lisa's sexuality is her business, and there is nothing wrong with who she is or who she has loved. But the issue, the only issue, is that this is information Daniel deserved to have from the very beginning. Not on a romantic trip. Not after he has already emotionally invested, already broken customs in his community, already told his family about this woman. He deserved to make informed decisions about this relationship from the start. The secrecy is the problem, not the truth. Daniel is not just processing a revelation about his girlfriend's past. He is processing the realization that the person he loves has been methodically keeping fundamental information from him. And the question now is there anything else? Because at this point, every time Lisa says, that's everything, we have learned that it is not everything. How many more secrets are there, Lisa? How many more? Okay, let's bring it home. Episode 13 of season 8 of Before the 90 Days has given us so much to talk about. Daniel and Lisa, this relationship is built on a crumbling foundation of half-truths and delayed confessions. Daniel may quote unquote love her, but love plus opportunity plus secrets is a dangerous combination. The don't come close to me moment is one of the most gut-punching scenes this season. Laura and Birkan, the arrival of Michael the friend, has turned this into a love triangle situation, whether anyone admits it or not. Birkan needs to work on his insecurity, Laura needs to work on her communication, and Michael needs to work on his motives. Joshua and Elsa, the chemistry is off, the priorities are questionable, and that giant friend photo in the bedroom is sending a message nobody wants to receive. Jovon and Annalyn, 6 years, a marriage, no visa. The culture clashes are real but manageable. The paperwork situation, less manageable. Emma, please go home. We are rooting for you. Go home. Rick and Trisha, Rick needs a very long look in the mirror before he has anything to say about Trisha's past. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, y'all. That is a wrap on Season 8, Episode 13 of 90 Day Fiancé, Before the 90 Days. If you enjoyed this recap, please give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel grow more than you know. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know, are you Team Daniel, or do you think he knew more than he was letting on? Let me know. And as always, subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you in the next one. Because the chaos, it never stops, and neither do we. Peace.